Okay, Shalom Akim, Kahalayim La Yahaba Shem Yahshaba Shem Hakudash, and double honest to great Muslim apostles. Thali Shah for the strength in order to make this video, and Yaratazar that you find this video as edification, because I remember a few videos back I mentioned about doing a breakdown video. So Yaratazar, as the title goes, I'm going to go into Revelation 6. Just quickly for the intro. Obviously sometimes you hear me say it, sometimes you don't, but really this is for the new brothers where when we say Kal Halalim La, some brothers say all praises to. Same thing, it's just the ancient Hebrew form of all praises to. So when we say Kal Halalim La, it means all praises to. Kal means all, Halalim means praises, and then La means to. And then we'll say Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, we're saying the name of the Most High, the name of God. The world in ignorance calls him God, but his real name is Yahweh, meaning he is, he exists, or he is to be. And when we say Bahashem, we're saying in the name. So through Yahushai, in the name Yahushai, and Yahushai meaning he delivers or he saves, because he will be the one to actually save the elect of Israel. That's why we say Yahweh Ratazah, that we are those men, those elect men. Because Yahweh Ratazah means Yahweh willing or Yahweh's will, that we are that men, in expectation, in hope. And when we say Bahashem Racha Kodash, we're saying in the name, Spirit, holy. Racha means spirit, Kodash means holy. So when you put it all together, it's saying all praises to Yahweh in the name Yahushai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. So through the Holy Spirit, that's how we then gain access to Yahushai. And of course, through Yahushai, that's how we get our intervention. He intervenes on the behalf of the elect. Again, we say Yahweh Tazar, that we are those men on our behalf unto Yahweh, man. When we send up those prayers, he's the one who's communing with the Father. And it's not to get too deep into the intro, that's just the basic meaning of it, which is the main concern. Here and there I'll mention it. But the point is, this video is on Revelation 6 as the breakdown, man. So, and of course, whenever new brethren come as well, Yaratazar, I'll also bring out the meaning in the intro as well, because I know sometimes the intros can be quite long, but nevertheless, it's all for the edification, man. So Revelation 6, Yaratazar, after I take a sip from this, I'm gonna break it down, because it's not about Yahushua pretty much saving the elect and obviously destroying Esau. So that's just like a mild overview of what we've got to deal with. Alright, so let's begin with Revelation 6 and Yaratazar, that I can clearly, explain the meaning of the verses that, are going to be broken down here. Because the same way I'm breaking it down in this video is the same way I had to study, our apostles to break it down, in order to understand this. Like even before this, I had to study Apostle Ramlah's breakdown of Revelation 6 so that I'm able to, pretty much redo my own breakdown, really. Which really, when you in terms of learning, when you absorb knowledge and then you reapply it or you reteach it, those are pretty much the highest forms of being able to remember what you learned. When you reteach it or you apply it in another scenario, that's really the two major ways of learning. Right, so and I might do either part 1 and 2, or I might do it in one go, because depending on time, I got to meet up with brothers to do another video as well. So Yaratazar, I might probably do a part 1 and then Yaratazar next time do a part 2 as well, shortly after that. Probably like the next day, or we'll see. But yeah, man. Revelation 6 and verse 2, it says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, 'Come and see.'" So really the key part of this verse really is the Lamb. That Lamb represents Yahushua, and he's the one who's able to unlock the seals, which the seals represents understanding of the scriptures, the true understanding of the scriptures. So the way we're able to understand it right now, of course, through our teachers, which they get the understanding through Racha Kodash, from their teachers, Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Racha, and Apostle Ramla, they were taught from their teachers as well. But the point is, it's through the Holy Spirit. That's how a person is able to grasp the understanding. Because no matter who you teach, you're able to actually, the person has to have the Holy Spirit, to be able to actually comprehend what you're saying. You know, the way you're breaking it down, this means that, that means that. A person who doesn't have the Holy Spirit, they'll be at grievance with what you're saying, you know, it'll be like friction. You know, so anyways, let's I'll read it again and we'll get a quick precept. So Revelation 6 and verse 1, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, come and see. So the Lamb again represents Yahweh Shai. You know, really a lamb is also seen as a sacrificial what's it called? A sacrificial animal, man. You know, when you want to make a sacrifice, you know, when you get back to the book of Leviticus as well, you know, I think a lamb also consists of a small cattle as well, which you can use in terms of a sacrifice, if I recall correctly, probably in as a sin offering or an offering of atonement, which is what is also known as in Leviticus chapter 1. But let me get this first. Revelation 5 and verse 5 as a precept on that. It says here, and one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. So again, this is also a title really for Yahweh, that's referring to Yahweh Shai, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You know, because obviously Judah is likened as a lion, man. You know, so that's really a representative of Judah. But when it says the root of David, it means it's referring to Matthew 1, which I'm going to pinpoint that specific verse in Matthew chapter 1, where it says Yahweh Shai really, in genealogy, he came from the loins of David. You know, quite, even if you really want to get deep into it, which again, I said Yarataz, I'm going to do it, but you know, one thing after the other, you know, to do another breakdown on reincarnation, regeneration, man. You know, because there's quite a few examples then within the scriptures to bring out. But again, another lesson. So that was Revelation 5 and 5. And one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. So let's get into, which of course is reference to Yahweh Shai, but sometimes, you know, it does really hurt to get into certain details here. So let's see, Genesis 49. As I said, Judah is likened as a lion, like the animal that represents Judah as a lion. Alright, so let's see, hold on. Genesis 49. Yep, Genesis 49 and verse 9. It says that Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? And the thing is, yeah, man, you don't want to get Judah angry. That's why if Judah gets angry, man, you know, it's going to be quite a hectic situation. I mean, you could already tell with you know, all these protests and whatnot, which really is just for how can I say this? I guess you could call them degenerate vessels of the world, which is just vessels that the Most High has judged. You know, example George Floyd and some other ones in the past as well. You know, Judah was riled up, man, and even in these certain movies, you know, like Roots and other movies like Emancipation, I think is one of them. Some other ones that just pertain to the oppression of Jake, that also rouses Judah up as well. But the point is that he is as a lion, you know. So again, Revelation 5 and verse 5. And one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which means this individual that's being referenced here is of the tribe of Judah. It says the roots of David. So of course that's referring to Yahweh Shai. So let's get to Matthew chapter 1. Yahutzazar, let's get straight to the point. You know, the point is to actually understand, you know, what we're reading here. That's the clarity. So Matthew chapter 1 and just hold on. Let's see, I want to pinpoint that verse. So of course, verse 1, it mentions here, the book of the generations of Yahushua HaMashiach, son of David, the son of Abraham. Because from verse 2 onwards, it's the seed line obviously coming from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It mentions it there in verse 2 as well. It says Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas, his brethren. And then it goes all the way down up to verse, what does it say? Hold on. Verse 16, where it says, and Jacob begat Joseph, and the husband of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushua, who is called Hamashiach. It says, so all the generations from Abraham to David, it says, are 14 generations, and from David until the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. So of course, between Abraham and David, it's been 14 generations. Between David and Yahushua, hold on, it says, and from David until the carrying away onto Babylon are 14 generations, and from the carrying away into Babylon onto Yahushua Hamashiach are 14 generations. So that's the difference, 14, 14, 14. So anyways, point being is that Yahushua came from the loins of David. That's what it means by the root of David. That's why I mentioned in Matthew 1:1, the book of the generations, the seed line, the genealogy of Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So yeah, that's just some precepts, to support the fact that that lamb is referring to Yahushua. So it says, second part, let me read Revelation 5:5. So the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Those 7 seals represent complete understanding, the complete understanding of these scriptures. Because what's that? What did that guy say? The Ethiopian eunuch. I think it's in Acts 8, where he mentioned, "How can I understand except a man teach me?" That's the point. Through Yahushua, he's the one who's able to teach. He was the one who taught the apostles the true understanding, and of course, that knowledge was then transferred generations after as well. And then through the Holy Spirit, we regained that knowledge again after that, season of absence. Especially during that, of course, post-slave trade and that period of time where we forgot about the names Yahweh, Yahushua, but of course, he put it back into our remembrance. So anyways, the point is, it says, have prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. The 7 seals, again, complete understanding. 7 means completion as well. Alright, so, let's see. Yeah, so, 7 seals thereof. Now, Revelation 6:1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder. One of the 4 beasts can't come and see. So the key part is Lamb and seals. So that really means Yahushua came and gave us the understanding of these scriptures. That's why we say Kahalal Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, because it's through Yahushua, Bahashem Rahakodash. Yahushua gave us the Holy Spirit, and that's how we access the understanding through Yahushua. Of course, in spirit. Now, verse 2, and I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So that white horse right there is really representing a large chariot that Yahushua will arrive in, and really that just represents pure power. White means represents purity. Righteousness, and power is represented by the word horse as well. So that white horse is reference to really a pure power, and that pure power is again further reference to that large chariot that Yahushua is going to arrive in. So that's what white horse means there. And it says, in fact, before I get that, before I break it down further, that verse, let me get Revelation 19:10. So this is Revelation 19:10. And I fell Actually, no. Verse 11, Revelation 19 and 11. It says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. You see that phrase again, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and war and make war. You see, so Yahushua is the one who's going to open up that heaven, as it says in Revelation 19 and 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. So people gonna bug out when they see that, man. They're gonna see Yahushua crack through those clouds, as you hear brothers say. You know, it's gonna look like them certain video games. I remember there was a video game called Fortnite where they used to have I think there was an event based on dimension cracking, and then you literally saw it in the skies cracking, man. Well, the point is, it's not gonna be what people would expect, man. You know, as it says in Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. Wisdom of Solomon 5, you know, the strangeness of his salvation. You know, let me get down quickly. And Yaratazar will continue on with the breakdown, man. But the point is, as it says in Revelation 19 and verse 10, you know, verse 11, that Yahushua is going to crack through those clouds. That's what it means when it says, and I saw heaven open. So those skies, you're just going to see like point is, you're going to see Yahushua come through the clouds, man. Whether that's through a literal crack that you're going to see, or you're going to see like a dimension open, you know, as you see in the movies. Don't think these things are impossible. They're very close to happening. That's the thing. You know, once that mark of the beast happens, you know, that implant, things are going to be rolling quick. You know, when the family of the word is here, MOTB, you know, things are going to wrap up very quickly. So, point being is, so Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 2, because that's the key part here. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. You know, these so-called Christians, these Israelites that are serving these other religions and the philosophies of the world, they're going to be confounded and realize that a prophet has been among them. You know, so again, that's what that means then in Revelation 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. So again, Yahushua is going to come through the firmament, and then you're gonna see a whole load of chariots, man. You're going to see a mega one, then you're going to see a whole load of chariots as well. That mega one is where Yahushua is going to be dwelling in. You know, he's going to arrive, and he's came here to do judgment. Now it says, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. You know, righteous power, that's Yahushua. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war, you see, because that's all under the command of Yahweh, man. So he's ordained to place judgment upon this earth, which is really to appease Yahweh as well. You know, so anyways, let's get back to Revelation 6. So that was the white horse. Let me get another one that's similar as well. Again, referring to the white horse, which is mentioned in Revelation 6 and verse 2. Let's get alright, let me get this. Revelation 14 and verse 14. And really these precepts are really just to reinforce a point on the meaning of the breakdown, you know, of certain verses. That's why we go precept upon precept, line upon line, as referred to in Isaiah 28 and verse 10. But anyways, key point here. So Revelation 14 and 14, it says, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, which is again one of the titles of Yahushua, Son of God, Son of Man. It says, and of course this is context, by the way, because obviously certain places within the scriptures, it mentions about sons of men. You know, there's like 3 categories of men. Sons of men, you can see as the heathen nations. Well, you should see it as the heathen nations, because that's what it refers to. Sons of God, those are the Israelites. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. You know, of course, Latinos, aka Hispanics as well. What else is there? So what else is there? But really, I forgot to mention speckled bird. But yeah, Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled bird as well. So that's what that's referring to, the sons of God. And then sons of the wicked, that's talking about Edomites. But in this context here, where it says the son of man, individual, singular, not plural, is referring to Yahushua. So let's read that again. Revelation 14:14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Again, that white cloud is synonymous with white horse. And that's referring to a chariot, a pure powered chariot, man. So that's Yahushua is coming in righteous power. That's what that means. So white cloud equals white horse, and white horse equals white cloud. And they both mean a large chariot of pure power. So, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle, man. So, that golden crown, because Yahushua is going to be the one to take all the kingdoms at the end of the day. So he's coming to knock off all the kings upon this earth, man. As it says in Daniel 2, let's get that one quickly as well. The Most High sets up kings and he overthrows them as well. I know there's certain precepts as well. Yahushua is going to take the kingdom. Of course, the Saint's going to take the kingdom, but it's going to be through Yahushua. Where is it? Daniel 2. Daniel 2:21. So, okay, just hold on. So this is Daniel 2 and verse 21. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. So the point is Yahweh removes kings and he sets up kings. So of course Yahushua is the next king to be established, man, when Esau's destroyed. Alright, so yeah, that's why it says there in Revelation 14:14, having on his head a golden crown and in his hand a sharp sickle, because he'll be the one to really harvest the elect, and of course to reap destruction upon these Edomites as well, which we're going to get further into. But let's get back to Revelation 6. Alright, so it says, he that sat on him, Revelation 6:2, and I saw, behold, a white horse, he that sat on him, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. So really, let's focus on bow now, because bow just means it's a weapon. A bow is used to shoot an arrow, which means Yahushua of him was referenced as the coming in through a white horse, a chariot, a very large chariot. He's going to come and then destroy Esau's kingdom. So let's get Job 20. Let's get Job 20. So Job 20, I'll start from verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So really, where it says in the fullness of his sufficiency, it's talking about Esau's peak of achievement. It says he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And where it says wicked, there's actually a deeper meaning to that. So Yahushua, let me get the blue letter quickly. So the root word for the word wicked in Job 20 verse 22 says a male.
Strong's H 6001. A male.
So it's saying a male, and a male means in the Bible, an outline of biblical usage, laborer, sufferer, a wretched one, laborer, workman, and sufferer, man. And that's referring to Israelites. So that's just to get clarity there. Right, so verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, so Job 20 and 23, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So when Esau's about to achieve the pinnacle of his beast system, the Most High is going to say, nope, you ain't going to get that satisfaction of getting the last bite or enjoying that meal, man, or to complete that meal. So anything after the MOTB, Esau won't be able to achieve. That true transhumanism, which is just the fusion of robotic parts or metallic parts to the human body. Esau ain't gonna be able to achieve that with in his beast system. So let's continue on verse 24. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. So that's the key part right there. And that's why we read it in Revelation. Let me get it quickly. In Revelation 6 and verse, hold on. 6 and verse 2, where it says, and he that sat on him had a bow. So that bow is referring to Yahweh Shai, being used as one to attack Esau's kingdom, to destroy it. And that's why Job 20 and verse 24, it says he shall flee. So Esau's going to flee, metaphorically speaking. Well, literally he's going to flee anyways, because, at the end of the chapter, it talks about Esau going to hide himself in the caves. So, which is a full circle, for Akim, what I'm talking about. You'll understand what I'm talking about when I say full circle at the end of the breakdown. So it says in verse Job 20 and 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon, which the iron weapon refers to the nuclear missiles. That's what the iron weapon means. So the nuclear missiles is going to cause Esau to go into hiding in those nuclear bunkers, yeah. But I'll get to that. And the bow of steel shall strike him through. So of course, because of the terror, the fear that they're going to have of Yahweh Shai coming back, they're going to go hide themselves, and also for their own destruction as well. They're gonna go hide. But we're going to get into it, man. But the point is, the bow of steel is referring to Yahweh Shai coming back to strike them, to destroy them. Right, let's get into it. Actually, I had a part there as well, but it says, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So the point is where it says a crown was given unto him. It reminds me of the precept, Psalms 110 and verse 1. Because Yahweh was the one who gave him the crown, that authority, that state to be King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the ability also to execute righteous judgment. So that crown was given to him of Yahweh. And let's get Psalms 110. So Psalms 110 verse 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. And when it says Lord said unto my Lord, Yahweh saying unto Yahweh Shai. So the point is, the crown is given unto him, man. It's given unto him by Yahweh. Sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. So anyways, man, let's see. Think if there's any other precepts I need to bring up. Yeah, he went forth conquering and to conquer, man. Let me see if there's another one. I think there's another one here. Second Esdras. But yes, that's speaking of Yahweh Shai's coming, man. He says he went forth conquering and to conquer. So this is 2 Esdras 13 and verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And sea, again, is referring to heaven in 2 Ezra 13:2, where it says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the waves thereof. So, of course, that the heaven that's above us right now, the so-called the skies, they're going to be shaky, man. The people are going to see that visual effect, for a lack of a better way of saying it, but that visual effect, in the heavens of Yahushua cracking the clouds, going through the spiritual dimension, the fourth dimension to the third dimension, the physical realm, back here on earth. So that's the point there. Let me get let's continue on. Revelation 6:3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, so of course, with remember, as it mentioned in Revelation 5:5, to loose the seventh seal. So each seal is like a portion of understanding. You can see as that first seal, second seal, third seal, fourth seal, up to the seventh. These are like portions of understanding to come together. So Yahushua is the one to bring that understanding. So I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So the red horse really represents Esau, and I'm going to get a precept on that right now. It says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him, of the Most High, that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So let's get to it. Let's get to the roots of who that is. So Genesis 25, starting from starting from verse 23. Genesis 25:23. And the Lord Yahweh said unto her, because he was speaking unto Rebecca. Rebecca asking why her belly is there's like a war zone in her belly while the two children fighting, and this was Yahweh's response. So Genesis 25:23, it says, and the Lord Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. So really, Jacob and Esau are actually twin brothers. It was one of those cases where one of the twins looked far different from the other. So verse 24, and when he said, and I just read that, verse 25. So Genesis 25:25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So that really explains it there, where it says the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. It doesn't mean that he was hairy. It just means just like a hairy garment. That's how the red covered his whole body. So Esau again is really represented as red, in this scenario here, and it's also that's why he's called a red horse in Revelation 6:4, man. It says, and there went out another horse that was red. That's in Revelation 6:4. So that's why Esau is referred to as red. Another thing as well is skipping on to verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, which Edom in the ancient Hebrew is actually Adawam. Adawam, which means red. Adawam, which means red. So all of that is referring to Esau, Edom, as a red horse. So of course we really talk about the Edomite power right now. Genesis 27 and verse 37. This is another precept as well, pertaining to the power that he's been given of the sword, remember. Because in Revelation 6 and 5, it mentions, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So Esau had his blessing of the sword from Isaac. And I'm about to read that. So Genesis 27, starting from hold on, let me just get straight to the point. Alright, I'll start from verse 38. Genesis 27 and 38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. So he's able to wield all these resources from earth, as well as all this aircraft that he has. He has dominion of the skies as well. So that's there with the dew of heaven from above. And verse 40, the key part, which links to Revelation 6 and verse 4. To correct myself there. So Genesis 27 and 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So of course for a season Esau would be in the case, but Jake would then rule. But of course, because of the curses and Jake's disobedience, that's why they have to take the lower end right now. Because there was a season where Esau was actually in the low, So it's in the marriage, you had to teach them how to have a bath and all of that. But anyways, but yeah, key part, verse 40, Genesis 27 and 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live. So he will have the blessing of the sword, and that supports Revelation 6 and 4, where it says that, and that they should and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. You see, and before that, where it mentions and power was given to him that sat thereon, this red horse, to take peace from the earth. And of course, Esau, according to his wicked nature as well, that actually that he's against peace. He's all for destruction and the way of life for which leads to damnation. That's the state that he's in. But let's get a precept on that. As it says in John 10 and 10. So this is John 10 and 10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come and they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Let me read that again. John 10 and 10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. And that's really the key part that I needed from Esau Edom. That's the thing, because he's the one, he said he's been given the power to remove peace from earth. And of course, the ruler of whom comes to steal, kill, and destroy, of course that place is going to be a place of chaos, not of peace. So it says, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So 3, that's how we're going to get that saving. That's why his name means he delivers or he saves. Alright, so great sword, peace on the earth, red horse, red horse meaning referring to Esau Edom again. And let's get one more here, one more precept. Hold on. Just get this final piece before I then move on, Yaratazar. Then I'm gonna close out soon, then I'm gonna do part 2, Yaratazar. So Romans 9 and verse 12. Is it verse 12 or 21? Should be verse 21. Alright. Romans 9 and verse 21. Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? So of course, those vessels, those lumps, kind of funny the way I read it there. But yeah, we are lumps, man. Lumps of dirt, created of the earth. But just to get to the point, the Most High is the one who shaping the image of each individual. But not to get sidetracked here. The point is, it says one vessel unto honor and another vessel unto dishonor. So that vessel of honor is referring to Israelites, in righteousness. And of course, that vessel of dishonor is referring to Edomites, who are unrighteous. That's their nature. So anyways, that unrighteous vessel of dishonor is the red horse. Again, these Edomites. And of course, if you don't know what Edomites are, it's all about so-called white people. Now, again, I always have to mention this just to clarify for anyone who's still learning in this truth, any new brothers. Not every white person is a so-called Edomite. Sometimes you'll have Israelites that look like Edomites. You could tell sometimes just by the way they dress, they got salt, from the way they behave as well. You just know that they're Jakes, man. But again, test out the spirit, as the scriptures say. But anyways, that's for another lesson. I think I even made a lesson probably like a few weeks back or maybe a few months ago based on the speckled bird. This woman of whom was saying that her father was actually a Jake. And I think Elder Chazak as well, from a Mississippi camp. He also made a video on it too recently too. But yeah, that proves right there that our people are speckled birds, man. You're going to have Israelites that look like the other heathen nations. But they're not heathens, they're Israelites though. So anyways, that's just to clarify that. So, but the true Edomites, because their spirit won't really rhyme with yours, man. There'll be that friction, that enmity. Not to also mention, obviously, Jake, you got that enmity as well, but you could discern, as you grow in this truth, you'll be able to discern spirits as you reason with the scriptures. That's the point I'm making. So let's get back to this. Revelation 6 and 5. And when he had opened the third seal, and I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances on his hand. So that black horse represents judgment, slavery, and also famine as well, because we're going to read verse 6, which reflects that famine. But also slavery in the sense of Jake going through that judgment, man. Well, yeah, from the Most High. But we're going to get into it, because let me just get into it right now. When you get into the root word for pair of balances, of course that means judgment, but it can also mean yoke. And what that yoke is also referring to is judgment too. That slavery that Jacob went through. So let's get into it. Which, even when you think about it as well, you can liken the mark of the beast as a form of slavery too, because remember, when slaves were serving in the Roman Empire, they were also branded as well. They were branded. And of course, that branding, the modern day branding, that mark of the beast branding, will be through the implant. That's what it will be through. So let's get into the root word. Let me just search it up quickly. Revelation. Okay, Revelation 6 and 5. So the black horse again represents judgment, slavery, and famine. So let's get into it. Let's hold on. Oh yeah, the root word for pair of balances. It's get into that. So Revelation 6 and verse 5, but the key part here that I want to bring out was a pair of balances. And this is the root word for balances, I guess. So
Strong's G 2218, Zugos. Zugos.
So I'm laughing because I heard the bird, as brother Ariel said, over here in the UK camp, the birds chiming in. I don't know why I just caught that all of a sudden, but anyways, the point is it says zugos, which means a yoke that is put on a draught cattle, used of any burden or bondage, as that of slavery. It says of troublesome laws imposed on one, especially the Mosaic law. Hence the name is so transferred to the commands of Hamashiach Yahushua as to contrast them with the commands of the Pharisees, which were a veritable yoke, yet even Hamashiach Yahushua's commands must be submitted to, though easier to be kept. And it also means a balance, a pair of scales. So it can also mean yoke. And that reminds me of what's it? Let me try to get it. Let me get it. Hold on. Because doesn't it say that the Most High gate, part of the curses is we've got a yoke of iron around our necks. So hold on. Let's get to it. Yeah, just hold on. If you see me smiling, man, it's because I'm just listening to the birds right now. Just all of a sudden started paying attention to the birds. But yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse, should be around 40. Actually, hold on, maybe it's not in 24. Hold on. Let me go back a little bit. If I can't find it, yeah, I'm gonna just search out. I'm just searching out. Yeah, I'll do it quick. So yeah, that was Revelation. Hold on, so I can get my train of thought back again. Because I said, the black horse represents judgment, slavery, and famine, man. But I'm dealing with the slavery part. So let's see this. Yoke of iron. Yeah, man. Okay, just bear with me, man. So, hold on. It's not in Leviticus. It's something else. Yoke of iron. Sometimes as well, the spirit can be low, but other times the spirit be high as well. You start laughing or smiling at the most minuscule things. So, yoke of iron. Hold on, let me search it. Should be Deuteronomy. So this is Deuteronomy. Okay, so hold on. So I don't know why I didn't go to. I went to chapter 24, but I knew obviously it should have been 28. Then it's Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. It says here, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. See, so that's what the black horse also represents, that slavery to come. So that position of bondage, of course, first of all, it was really upon Israel, but these it's not called friendly fire, but these other heathen nations are gonna get caught up in that slavery as well. To say that bondage from Esau Eden, because that's when he's gonna reveal his horns. So really, that's what that's talking about there, that state of bondage. But yeah, in terms of judgment, that's what it also means. That's why it says a pair of balances. If you research, hold what do they call it? Yeah, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Which really the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Really, they got it from the scriptures, man. They got it from the scriptures. I think even X-Men Apocalypse, they reference the scriptures as well. You know, Revelation 6. You know, when they were trying to find, they were trying to link it all, which, you know, it's all through the spirit. But, you know, let me leave that for another day. I think I've already made videos in the past of that. I might do one another day maybe. But point is that they reference the four horsemen of apocalypse, which was really rooted in Revelation chapter 6 that we're breaking down right now. But so the black horse again, where am I reading from? So verse 5, it says, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances on his hand. So again, it means yoke. It could also mean, which really reference to slavery as well. You know, so that's good. That's the time that we're coming into, where people are going to be in that bitter bondage. You know, that's why they always refer to, hold on, pretty much they refer to, there's a point I was trying to make, man. But yeah, it's pretty much slavery, working these jobs. That's the thing, man. That's what I was trying to say. So what, it's going to get worse in the economy, man. That's the thing. But despite that, you know, we've got to remain positive in the Yahweh Hashem Yeshua and faithful in Yahweh Hashem Yeshua, because he will protect us. You know, as we can mention also in Job 5 and Isaiah 65 and 13, that my servant shall eat, shall drink, and ye shall be thirsty, ye shall be hungry. So we're going to be good, man, because we're the servants of Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. So, let's see. Verse 6, and I heard, so Revelation 6 and verse 6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. You see, so things are going to be quite scarce in that time, man. You know, it says there, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So don't touch the oil, don't touch the wine. So pretty much it's going to be a case of scarcity where, you know, certain things are going to be, the economy is going to be so bad. That's the point. It says a loaf of bread is going to be, I'm going to have to read this in the NLT as well, man, just to get clarity how it is. So it says, verse 6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Point is that there will be a season where the economy is going to be good, but then after that, because of inflation, things are going to be way more expensive, and it's going to be hard to attain these basic goods. Right, let me get this in the NLT now. Revelation 6 and verse 6. Hold on. So New Living Translation, NLT, Revelation 6 and 6. And I heard, read that slowly. NLT, and I heard a voice from among the 4 living beings saying, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay, and don't waste the olive oil and wine. You see, so that's talking about hyperinflation right there, man, where a day's wage is what will be used to pay for basic goods. You know, I think even I remember when the peanuts were about 50 pence to £1, and eventually went to £1. And after, you know, leaving the country for a bit, this is prior to the truth, of course, you know, leaving the country for a bit, came back, it went up to like £4, not £4, but £3. Now right now I think it's about £4.50. It's like each year it just keeps increasing. That's the thing. So, and that's just for peanuts as well that I've noticed it with. Of course, people who are looking at certain products, you know, like bread and, you know, wheat and flour and all of that, they'll notice that too. You know, the products that you buy that are a common commodity, you will notice that in terms of the prices going up, especially here in the UK. Of course, in America as well, they're going through it. And certain other European countries are going through it far more than others. But the point is that inflation is there, man. So the economy, you know, despite for a time it was good, but, you know, it's going to be quite harsh out here, Akim. You know, that's why faith is essential. But despite all that, as I said in Job 5, you know, and Isaiah 65 and 13, my servant shall eat, you know, ye shall be hungry. You know, just referring to that. Let me get Job 5 specifically. Hold on. Because I already kind of referenced Isaiah 65 and 13, but let's get Job 5. So Job 5 and verse 22, it says, "At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth." So remember, it says at destruction and famine, which is pretty much what the black horse represents in Revelation 6. I think also, yeah, pretty much, yeah, Revelation 6, and also the pale horse as well. Hold on, let me check the door quickly. Yeah, can't. So, I'm gonna get ready to wrap up this video, man. But anyways, point being is that the black horse represents judgment, slavery, and famine, as we mentioned in read in Revelation 6 and verse 6. Because obviously the economy is going to be that far west that things are going to be so expensive, man. That's why. But at the end of the day, we ain't gonna worry about that because we got Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, man. So that's the thing. Anyways, Revelation 6 and verse 7 now. "And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death and Hell." And death, of course, again, it's self-explanatory. It pertains to someone dying. The spirit goes to heaven, and then the terrestrial body goes to earth. That's what death is. To put into simple terms. I don't know how much more I could break it down, but death means death, man. As I just said, spirit goes up to the heavens, spiritual realm. Terrestrial bodies stay up on earth, man, get buried. And hell really represents the grave as well. That's what hell means in this context. So death and the grave followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the beast, fourth part of the earth, to kill, and the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So that's really talking about again, death and hell, man. So there's going to be a lot of things, which is really part of judgment as well. A lot of judgment that's going to be happening. Let's get into it. Sirach 39, spirits of vengeance. I'll start from verse 25. So Ecclesiasticus 39 and verse 25. "And for the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners." So of course, those of whom are of the wicked, they're going to reap those wicked judgment. Those of whom are good, the righteous elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, they're going to reap that righteous judgment. So each one will reap the consequences of their wickedness, man, their decisions. So it says here in verse 26, "The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour, wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing." So these are the essentials of life. So verse 27, "All these things are good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil." So yeah, it's true. Wicked vessels, the vessels of dishonor, as we mentioned in Romans 9 and verse 21, they'll turn it into wickedness, evil intentions. And also, the righteous, of course, will use those goods for a godly purpose, man. As they were intended to by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, verse 28, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them." You see, so those are the spirits of which we use to execute judgments. Obviously, part of it will be apparitions, part of it will also be death. That's why I'm bringing this out for Revelation 6 and verse 8, where it says, "Death and hell followed with him," the pale horse, "and power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword." So of course, spirits of vengeance are going to be upon Esau as well, to deal with Jake. That's why it's going to be referred to as Jacob's trouble. Now it says, speaking of Jacob's trouble, that's why even in the black horse as well, just going back a few verses up in verse verse 5, where it talks about the black horse, that judgment as well is going to happen towards Jacob too. Jeremiah 30:7, where it talks about Jacob's trouble, that will also be a time of judgment, because as I said, the black horse represents judgment, slavery, and which slavery is a punishment unto Jacob as well. And what's it called? A famine, as it mentions in Revelation 6, with the things being so expensive, that also reflects famine as well, because the simple fact that if the supply is low, the prices go high, because there's few to actually give out, man, or there's few to sell. So which means the rarer the item, the higher the cost. That's what I'm trying to say. Hence why the famine is also an indicator of famine as well when it comes to food. And it's continuing on with Revelation, Ecclesiasticus 39 of verse 29, because I was just adding more to the explanation of the black horse. But now onto the pale horse now, verse 29. So Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 39 and verse 29, fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance, you see. So really the pale horse and the black horse, they're pretty much like, going hand in hand here, because they're executing judgment, which part of judgment can be death as well. Famine as well is a tool used for that too, for judgment too. So it says, all these are created for vengeance, teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. So yeah, man, I think that's really the point right there. Anyway, so yeah, that's really the point right there. And it says, once again, Revelation 6:8, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword. You see, as it mentions here, tools of vengeance, and with hunger. Famine was also a tool of vengeance, as mentioned in Ecclesiasticus 39 and 29. It also says here, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth, man. Which, remember, we're going to be in league with the beasts of the earth, so we ain't got to worry about that. That's how our faith is going to be, in that time to come, man. Bro, it's going to be good with the animals, small, big, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua. But anyways, I'm going to close off there. Yaratazar, I will do the part 2. And, I'll start from verse 9 onwards, probably recap again briefly. But point is, I'll start from verse 9, Yaratazar. And Yaratazar, that he found it edifying so far. So, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Brakatha. Kahalaim La Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Bashim Kudash. Once more, double honors to the great Muslim apostles. Shalom.